Guys, sorry, I'm actually on vacation, so hopefully everything goes smoothly and whatnot. But okay, so these are my 5 points. Quote 1. According to the restatement on contracts, a contract is a promise or set of promises for breach of which the law gives a remedy or the performance of which the law in some way recognizes a duty. By entering into a contractual agreement, one party promises to do something in exchange for something that the other party promises to do. Page 96. Um, well, what I think it means, there are two types of basic contract law, which are bilateral and then unilateral. And bilateral is a promise composed between two groups, which is very unlike unilateral, which is only one promise composed between two groups. And with the quote, just talking about how, excuse me, um, that with the restatement of contracts, um, that they showed both type of contracts laws, and yeah, okay. And then quote 2, the contract that is the foundation for the legal relationship between players and management with any team sport is a collective bargaining agreement. And that's page 104. And I think this is big because the collective bargaining agreement is a contract between the union, or the people who care about humans playing the game, not actually excuse me. They are the ones who care about the players, not caring that the players make them money. And then they meet with management, who are the team owners, the ones who only like making money. This contract has norms of about hundreds of different pages explaining every detail, ranging from terms and conditions all the way to amateur draft rules, even to players having to, even through the procedures players have to go through. So, okay. And that was page 104 if I didn't say. And then quote 3, when a party breaches the terms of a legally enforceable contract, the party that suffers from the breach can seek compensation from the courts. The compensation awarded by courts of law for the breach of contract is called damages. And that's page 103. And why this is important, or the meaning behind this, would be anytime one side of a contract partnership breaks the contract/agreement, the original party that will have taken a loss will be given permission to be awarded that same amount. So don't break the contract. Okay, let's see. Quote 4. When parties negotiate the details of a contract, they agree to an amount that must be paid by the breaching party. That's page 104. And what I'm saying with this, so in this we are talking about liquidated damages, but specifically the quote is saying that if the teams do not follow the agreement they signed before the season started, it will cost them money. For example, let's say the Indianapolis Colts. They have an agreement with Lucas Oil Stadium, right? They play all their home games there. Well, let's say the RCA Dome was still up and running. Well, if the Indianapolis Colts decided, hey, we're not going to play our home games at Lucas Oil this year, we're going to go do it at the RCA Dome. Well, Lucas Oil has that agreement, so the Indianapolis Colts can't just decide to do that. Now, if they do decide to do that, they're going to have to owe money to Lucas Oil because all the revenue that's being lost from not having those games there, and then breaking their agreement. So, and that was on page 124. And then lastly, quote 5, is sport contracts are increasingly including clauses that focus on alternative dispute resolution, or ADR, methods so that the parties involved can attempt to solve their disputes without going to court. Page 125. I think this is huge, especially with today's day and age of how all these athletes, I mean, athletes are doing some stupid stuff out here, and some people don't think they can get caught. And I think this is huge because there are so many different things that we just don't even know about, for specific athletes. Like for example, Ezekiel Elliott and the quarterback, Dak Prescott. You know, I actually have a roommate. My roommate, best friend, was a roommate of Dak Prescott when he went to Mississippi State, and he knows him quite well, and he knows a couple things that Dak Prescott's going through on the back end of things that are not in social media or the public eye. But Ezekiel Elliott, on the other hand, all his business. That man's been in court. He's got some troubles. He's been suspended, whatnot. Okay. Now, if it's all true or not, that's up to you. But, anyways, but to explain it, the quote, the ADR method I chose to talk about specifically was arbitration. Arbitration is a process in which a neutral third party comes in and renders a decision after hearing both sides of the story. But the meaning behind the quote was teams/athletes use these different methods to try and solve the issues before it gets put into the courts and social media's eye and affecting the team/athlete's livelihood. For another example, Colin Kaepernick. He lost his job. I mean, he was a starting NFL quarterback. He might not be starting anymore, but he's not even on a team because of the things that he chose to stand up for, affecting his livelihood. I know it has nothing to do with like a contract on that level of Colin Kaepernick, but the quote I'm choosing here was specifically about taking care of things so it doesn't come into the public eye and go straight to the courts, because that's what everything seems to come out to be today. So, well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.